Welcome back to School of Soul. I am Adeline Atlas, 7 times published author and founder of Soul Renovation. Law is magic. If the systems around you didn't impose constraints, your actions would naturally align with the principles of natural law, guiding you to make morally sound choices. However, the conditioning to place unquestioning faith in the written word has shifted this alignment. It has led many to stray from their innate moral compass, operating instead within the framework of constructed legal systems, like Black's Law, which often diverge from the harmony of natural law, outside of their own free will of consent. Whoa! Think about that. When you follow the law, you have submitted to a written word controlling you, and you have come into agreement with it. You've been taught the power of words when it comes to laws. So why don't you understand that all words have that same power? All words can be cast, assigned meaning, and bind others, or sentence them or yourself. You can't accept that written laws are powerful and non-negotiable, then assume other written words are not. For example, your written word. Why do you believe that another human's written word holds power but not your own? Ever notice in law, when they make you do something, no one can actually make you do anything. You have come into agreement to accept you will follow the law. It is called a writ. In common law, a writ is an order issued by a court in the name of a sovereign authority requiring the performance of a specific act. Writ and right, the law casts what it expects from you by writing a writ. Well, guess what? You have the power to write as well. All law is ritualistic. It must be performed in a specific manner, and the words must be said in a specific order. Law is nothing more than word magic. How? Legalese, the language of law, is its own language. Did you know that? Did you know it is not called English? It is Black's Law, rooted in canon law and maritime terms and known as legalese, not English. Let's be clear. It is its own language. Legalese is a specialized language used within the legal system. It operates much like magic, where specific words and phrases create binding effects, much like spells. This secret language of law holds power over reality, shaping outcomes through its precise and ritualistic use. The legal system's reliance on precise wording is akin to casting spells, because they are harnessing the saying the right thing in court can change your fate, much like how speaking the right words in a spell can open a portal to a new reality. In court, if you say the right thing, you might be free. If you don't, you could be bound. This is the essence of how words act as portals, taking you from one state of being to another. Sentencing and judgment. Consider the term sentenced. You are given a sentence during a trial where they cast judgment on a person. Interesting. So you write sentences and cast spells, and the legal system casts judgment by assigning sentences. Notice the exact same vocabulary being used. Legal forms cannot be altered, sensitive to time and place, and require the presence of all parties involved. If you want to cast upon a person, you want them present to make sure the sentence lands when it is casted. When a judge says, "and so it is ordered," it is the same as ending a spell with, "so it is." The concept of casting. The term casting, cast judgment. To assign a judgment, not to throw it. It means to transfer it onto someone or something. Casting burdens. Assigning responsibilities or burdens, similar to casting a spell or assigning roles in a movie. Casting is to assign. The word cast is seldom used positively. It often relates to casting fear or judgment. You don't hear people say, "I cast joy," or "I cast happiness." No, you hear burdens and fear being cast, or spells being cast, or obligations. This notion of casting reflects the act of assigning or cloaking something, much like how legal terms and rituals assign consequences when they cast a new reality upon another, using only their words. Rituals and incantations. In law and magic. The parallels between law and magic aren't coincidental. They're deeply rooted in symbolism, ritual, and language. The legal system mirrors the practices of magic, but cloaks them in formalities, making them appear mundane. Yet, these rituals wield the same transformative power as any spell. The cloak of authority. A judge's black robe is a powerful symbol of authority. Looking at the history and symbolism behind legal rituals, including the judge's black cloak, you can appreciate the deeper layers of meaning within the legal system. The history of black cloaks in magic. Black cloaks have a long history in magic and the occult. Traditionally, black is associated with mystery, the unknown, and the subconscious. Magicians, sorcerers, and occult practitioners have used black cloaks in rituals to symbolize the absorption of energy and the protection against negative forces. The cloak serves as a tool to enhance the practitioner's power, creating a barrier between the wearer and external influences. In magical traditions, the black cloak is worn during rituals to signify a connection to the mystical and the hidden realms. It represents the practitioner's authority and command over the forces they are invoking. This parallels the role of a judge's robe in the courtroom, symbolizing authority, impartiality, and the power to make binding decisions. The tradition of judges wearing black cloaks dates back to the late 17th century. This tradition continued, and the black robe became a symbol of the solemnity and gravity of the legal process. The robe itself adds to the ritualistic nature of the court, much like the ceremonial cloak worn by magicians or priests during rituals. See how law functions not just as a system of rules, but as a carefully constructed practice of word magic and rituals happening in your everyday physical reality in plain sight that shape the destinies of others, and no one even notices it is a ritual being performed before their eyes? The gavel and the wand. A judge's gavel and a magician's wand serve the same purpose, symbols of authority used to command and shape reality. When struck, the gavel begins and ends court sessions, much like a wand marks the opening and closing of a magical incantation. Both tools direct energy and deliver a consequence into being. The judge's robe and the magician's cloak. The black robe worn by judges is steeped in symbolic meaning, much like the cloaks of magicians in ancient traditions. Black absorbs and controls energy, shielding the wearer from negativity. A judge's robe is no different. It cloaks them in the authority of the law. The courthouse as a temple. Courthouses resemble temples, with their grand architecture and solemn rituals. Just as sacred spaces host ceremonies to connect with the divine, courtrooms are arenas for the enactment of societal order. Their layout and proceedings mirror religious rituals, complete with opening and closing ceremonies that invoke authority and solemnity. Legal terminology as spells. The language of law functions like magic incantations. Legal terms, often rooted in Latin, demand precision for their power to take effect. Words like hereby and therefore are crafted with exactness to bind parties, just as spells require precise wording to ensure the desired outcome. Opening and closing statements. The structure of a trial mirrors the casting of a spell. Opening and closing statements are carefully crafted to persuade and invoke a specific reality, much like an incantation draws forth its intended result. Historically, rituals opened circles to summon energies, cast intentions, and then close them, just as a trial follows its ritualistic format. Oaths and affirmations. Swearing an oath on a holy book before testifying is an unmistakable ritual. Like ancient ceremonies that invoked deities for truth and power, this act binds the speaker to their words, granting their testimony a sacred weight. The scales of justice. Lady Justice's scales symbolize balance, a concept rooted in both legal and magical traditions. In Egyptian mythology, Anubis weighed hearts against the feather of truth to determine one's fate. Today, these scales represent the weighing of evidence, a direct link to ancient practices of discernment and fairness. The sword of justice. The sword held by Lady Justice is a universal symbol of power and authority. In magic, swords cut through illusions and enforce will. Similarly, the sword in legal contexts represents both protection and punishment, ensuring truth is revealed and justice is served. Rituals, symbols, and precise language are the pillars of both law and magic. The legal system wields its authority through processes indistinguishable from incantations, relying on the belief of those who follow it. Yet, here's the secret. Just as the law uses words to shape reality, so can you. The same power exists in your voice and your words. You only need to claim it. If you like this subject and you would like to learn more, order your copy of School of Soul, Every Word on Amazon, and learn the true power of the spoken word.